Welcome to That's Good Sports here on YouTube. It's the NFC West Offseason Recap and Power Rankings episode. I'm your football articulator, Brandon Perna. And today I will determine who will finish on top and on bottom of the NFC West. Let's begin with the draft grades. Based on averages, the NFC West had not just the least exciting draft, but collectively received the worst consensus draft grades in the league. This is partially due to the fact that the only team to draft in the first round was the damn Seahawks, and they had to trade away their future Hall of Fame QB just to get that stupid pick. Let's start with the Cardinals. What did they do this offseason to get better? Well, maybe that biggest question mark is yet to be answered, as Kyler Murray, currently holding out, wants a new contract. Will this holdout linger, though, into training camp or preseason and eventually the regular season? We don't know. I think they get a deal done. In free agency, the Cardinals lost wide receiver Christian Kirk after they realized they were no match for his agent's contract negotiating skills and that the Jaguars would pay him $1 billion. That loss makes sense to me, as does running back Chase Edmonds, but I think the one that will sting for Arizona is edge master Chandler Jones. Arizona couldn't figure out how to pay one of the best edge rushers in the league 1 year after they let Hassan Reddick go. So they should have had the money somewhere. Marcus Golden is an underrated replacement for Reddick, who actually matched his production last season. But this trend leads me to believe Golden will be gone after this season, and I have to wonder if his effectiveness was aided by Chandler Jones on the opposite side. Are the Cardinals banking on J.J. Watt to stay healthy? That's like asking U.S. citizens to agree on politics. Is J.J. and his self-imposed curse worth it? I mean, all 6 of the Cardinals' losses came after J.J. Watt said this on the sideline.
Instead of making excuses for why we win, maybe we're just better. Maybe we're just better.
Last year, I thought the Cardinals' biggest weakness was their inability to produce on offense without their best receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. Well, guess what? He's back. Ah, shit. He's gonna miss 6 games because of that suspension, which is a big reason they went after Hollywood Brown during the draft. 5 of those 6 Watt-cursed losses last year came with Hopkins on the sideline, plus the playoff loss when they put up just 11 points against the Rams. I do like that James Conner is coming back. The fact that more people don't talk about his 18 touchdowns last year is tragic. Now, do we blame the infamous late season collapse for the Cardinals on Cliff and Kyler? I call this the Cardinal conundrum. Or was the catalyst for their downfall missing D-Hop and J.J. Watt down the stretch? If those 2 guys can stay healthier late in the season, the Cardinals will be able to address the narrative that they suck in the second half of the season. Hollywood Brown should act as a buffer for the loss of DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm really curious to see how Hollywood Brown performs once Hopkins is back on the field in that passing attack. The other issue in my eyeballs, these guys, is Kyler Murray staying healthy. 2021 was the second season in a row where we saw Kyler's play get worse after he got hurt. He went 2-5 after starting 7-0. Just 7 TDs with 5 picks. He started 17-5. And his passer rating dropped from 116 to 86.5. After missing 3 games in the middle of the season, Kyler never had a game where he threw for more than 2 touchdowns. He was in the MVP conversation, possibly leading it in the first half of the season when he was tossing 3 and 4 touchdowns in games. What about the Cardinals draft? Well, after spending the 23rd pick on Hollywood Brown in that trade with the Ravens, the Cards took CSU tight end Trey McBride in the 2nd. A player I am obligated to love. I think McBride will diversify the Cardinals' passing attack, not just because he's white, but also because he'll live in the middle of the field. If he's as good as projected, Ertz and McBride have the potential to be one of the best tight end duos in the league. I also like their selection of San Diego State edge rusher Cameron Thomas and Cincinnati edge Myjai Sanders, both whom have a chance to get some real snaps thanks to the loss of Chandler Jones. It's nice when a team has a need and says, fuck it, let's take 2 guys that play that position. Maybe one of them will be good. So overall, I like the draft, and outside of the D-Hop suspension, I'm not sure if the offseason was a huge disaster for the Cardinals outside of some Kyler Murray drama that may or may not have been overblown. He's holding out right now and requesting a new contract so he can get that surgery that he needs. You know, the one from Gattaca, where they make you taller.
I took my mind off the pain by reminding myself that when I eventually did stand up, I'd be exactly 2 inches closer to the stars.
And don't forget, a great way to support this channel is by purchasing my coffee. Benchwarmer Brew at benchwarmerbrew.com. The cheapest way to get the coffee is to sign up for the subscription service. We've got 3 blends, mine, the backup blend, urinating trees blend, the armchair blend, and 5 points. And coming up in June, we just might have some more discounts for you. Benchwarmerbrew.com. The Seattle Seahawks. It's hard to think of a team that got worse than the Seahawks did in the 2022 offseason, and it's all because of one move, letting corner DJ Reed go. Sorry, I mean Bobby Wagner. And their starting quarterback, the face of their franchise and lover of bread.
Yeah, pretty much everybody eats bread.
They now get to decide between Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Ironically, they did something for those 2 guys that they never wanted to do for Russell Wilson, which was investing in the offensive line. The Hawks spent the 9th overall pick that they got from Denver on tackle Charles Cross, which will be the cross they fucking die on. And the 72nd pick on Wazoo tackle Abraham Lucas, more religious undertones. If those 2 guys hit, well, they've got their 2 tackles for the next 4+ years. And for all of the Seahawks fans yelling at me, saying the only way we could get those tackles was because of the Russ trade, that's true. But would you trade away your dick so you could get laid whenever you want? I don't think so. What's the point, man? Was Russ the genius giving away multiple first rounders for a safety? No, you picked the wrong guy, Seattle, and I know that's hard to accept. Now, as bad as the situation at quarterback is, the rest of the Seahawks skill players are still pretty damn good. Neither DK Metcalf nor Tyler Lockett was traded. They added Noah Fant in the Wilson trade. You're gonna like Fant. And they drafted Kenneth Walker into a running back group that already included 2 really good backs in Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, who is finally starting to produce. I do love Chris Carson, but he has some lingering neck issues, which is why Seattle added to the stable with Kenneth Walker. The Seahawks offense is like if someone tried to find out what happened if you put an excellent supporting cast around a bad quarterback. Oh wait, another team did try that, and it was the Denver Broncos in 2020 and 2021. Did not work. I'm not trying to be a dick, Seahawks fans. I'm trying to warn you. I know you drafted Kobe Bryant, but he ain't saving your franchise. Did the Seahawks address their biggest need? No, they created one. They created a need. Did you build a retirement home for Pete Carroll yet? No, you got needs. The Seahawks were a really weird team in 2021. They had a positive point differential, scoring 29 more points than they allowed all season, and yet they finished the year 7-10. This team lost some really close games, and they're gonna lose more. This season will be a true testament to Pete Carroll's coaching ability. If he can hit 8 wins with Geno or Locke, maybe we should put him in the Hall of Fame. If not, maybe we should put him down. That's right, kill him. 49ers! If not for a dropped interception by Jaquiski Tart in the NFC title game, we could be talking about the 49ers as conference champs, if not even Super Bowl champs. They're an immensely talented team that also happens to be facing an immense amount of uncertainty. And the big question mark, will Deebo Samuel, their best player, be on the team week 1? It looks like he might, since he has yet to be traded. Thought he might go during the draft. We're well after the draft now. And Samuel is a receiver / running back coming off of just a massive season, which is why he's trying to get paid / trade id. But I don't think we're quite out of the woods on his movement yet, or sequoias, as they say in San Francisco. There's another small question mark. Who the fuck is gonna start at quarterback for this team? The 49ers moved heaven and earth to trade up for Trey Lance in the 2021 draft, and we're not even sure he's going to start in year 2. The longer Jimmy G is on the roster, shoulder injury or not, the more likely it feels that he'll trot out as QB1 to open the 2022 season in Chicago against the Bears. Possibly a bye week for the 49ers. So besides those minor insignificant quandaries, did the Niners get better this offseason? Well, let's start with some of their losses. And you have to begin with offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, who got the head coaching gig with the Dolphins. Yes, despite being another basic-ass white guy, according to Deadspin, McDaniel was excellent at his job last year, and his departure will leave some big shoes to fill for their new offensive coordinator. Oh, they don't have one. Weird move. But that just kind of goes to show you that this is Kyle Shanahan's show, and they're not messing around with de facto titles. Aside from McDaniel, the Niners lost run stuffer DJ Jones, tackle Tom Compton, and nickel corner K'Wan Williams, all to the Broncos. McDaniel poached running back Raheem Mostert, and Trent Sherfield and guard Laken Tomlinson got $40 million to join the Jets. Unfortunately, they didn't have any big splash signings. It looked like they were interested in Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson, but ended up settling for former Chiefs corner Charvarius Ward. Now, Ward is not Stephon Gilmore, certainly not J.C. Jackson, but he isn't a bad allocation of money at a big position of need for San Francisco. George Odom is an elite special teams player who is a nice pickup for the 49ers, and I'm interested in what they get out of Hassan Ridgeway and Kerry Hyder on the defensive line. Free agency was a net negative for the 49ers as far as I can tell. And despite not having a first round pick, I sort of loved what the Niners did with their first selection in USC edge rusher Drake Jackson. Is he the best Drake on earth? No. But here's a hot take, he's the best Drake in this draft. They followed that up with the running back, Tyrion Davis-Price, and despite his first name, Tyrion is an average-sized human. To be honest, I didn't like that pick. The 49ers are a running back factory. They could plug a small child in there and the offense would still work fine. Throw in wide receiver Danny Gray in the third and guard Spencer Burford in the fourth, and the 49ers addressed some needs with their first 4 picks. The best outcome for the 2022 49ers is to see Trey Lance on the field, showing without a doubt that he was worth trading up for over a year ago. The longer they wait on Lance, the more they waste of his rookie contract, and the more it looks like they regret taking him 3rd overall. So even though this team had a lackluster offseason in 2022, they might get some payoff from that big swing in 2021. And finally, the Rams. As always, when talking about the Rams, it's mandatory to remember, fuck them picks. Except for the fact that they've actually made 36 picks over the last 4 seasons. It's more like fuck them first round picks. In fact, the team hasn't made a first round pick since they traded up to number 1 overall for Jared Goff back in 2016. A pick so weird, Jeff Fisher is now failing in the USFL. Does it matter? Absolutely not, and they proved that in their Super Bowl win last February against the Bengals. In fact, I really loved that Super Bowl because it showed that there are multiple ways to build a winner in the NFL. As long as you have a quarterback. Seahawks. Now the Bengals drafted their stars, and the Rams, well, they traded for them. But there is no getting around the fact that they did lose a star in Von Miller. Miller was an essential part of their Super Bowl run, notching 4 sacks in the playoffs, including a pair in the Super Bowl. It's a big loss, and one they'll feel week 1 when they play Von Miller. That's right, Von returns as a member of the Bills. Combined with the retirement of Andrew Whitworth, you're saying goodbye to 2 future Hall of Famers in one offseason. I can't think of another team that's lost 2 Hall of Famers in one offseason. Oh wait, the Seattle Seahawks also this season. A couple more under the radar departures for the Rams included guard Austin Corbett, who went to Carolina, corner Darius Williams, who left for Jacksonville, and defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day, who's staying in LA but playing for the other team. Throw in the loss of OBJ and the Robert Woods trade at wide receiver, and you have some significant turnover. Now, OBJ may still return for the Rams at the end of the season. Those aren't irreplaceable players, though. And the Rams went out and got Allen Robinson, who immediately became one of the better number 2 wide receivers in the NFL. My bold prediction is Robinson with Stafford outperforms Davante Adams with Carr. Please let that one come true. They also picked up longtime rival Bobby Wagner, who had a career-high 170 tackles last year in Seattle. I'd be lying, though, if I said I knew how to actually grade the Rams draft. The purpose of most of the Rams draftees is to not fuck up while Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey do most of the heavy lifting. That was not the case last year for Ben Skoranek, who dropped something like 47 passes in 2021. The best thing you can say about the Rams draft besides Sean McVay's reactions is that they addressed positions of need, snagging a guard from Wisconsin in Logan Bruss and a corner out of South Carolina State in Jacoby Durant with their first 2 picks. Jacoby Durant literally has both Kobe and Kevin Durant in his name, so expect him to win Rookie of the Year. Overall, I thought the Rams got worse this offseason, which isn't uncommon for a defending Super Bowl champ. But you can also say this about the Rams, they're probably not done. The roster they take into week 1 will be different by the trade deadline. I guarantee that. This is a team that addresses needs during the season, and they do it in big ways, a la the Von Miller, OBJ, and Jalen Ramsey acquisitions, instead of praying that a practice squad guy can come in and save them. So here are our final power rankings and who will win the division. Pulling up the caboose is the Seattle Seahawks, who lost Russell Wilson, added Drew Lock. That really tells the whole story. 4th place for Seattle. Coming in 3rd place, I've got the 49ers. Kind of taking a drop off here. The Deebo Samuel, Jimmy G situation is a little confounding, and I think their week off season drops them out of the playoffs in 2022. So in 2nd place, it's the Arizona Cardinals, who will be without Hopkins for those first 6 games, but offset that loss by adding Hollywood Brown this season. Bonus point to the Cardinals for this Sinbad reference.
I got Sinbad.
Which finally, yes, the Rams are still the team to beat to top the NFC West. They're the champs. And while I think they had a tough offseason, they are still the champs until proven otherwise. And if you haven't checked out the AFC East or the AFC West recaps, those are already up here on YouTube. Those videos are on the screen right now. Click them to watch. And subscribe here to That's Good Sports. Some people like it, not my mom.